Good Sunday evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danger Zone. I am your host, Ken Moore. I will be joined shortly by my partner, Floyd B., as we put a wrap on NBA free agency. We'll also take a look at the USA Olympic basketball team roster and the Summer League debut of Bronny James. And yes, it is officially baseball season. The Houston Astros are back in the race. And of course, we also have a hurricane to discuss that's on its way to H-Town. All of that coming up next on The Danger Zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
What up, everyone? Welcome to a hurricane edition of The Danger Zone. Yes, we are coming to you live and direct from H-Town, Houston, Texas, where a hurricane potentially is on its way to the city. My partner, Floyd B., how you doing, my brother? Kind of adjust your camera a little bit. We're barely seeing you there. There you go. Tilt it down a little bit there. There we go, my brother. Better look right there. So a lot to discuss.
Now you're gonna tell me how to use my laptop, huh? Now you're
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Listen, man.
Yes, sir.
Okay, big bro. Okay,
we want to see you, bro. We don't want to see you stealing. We want to see that. We want to see that beautiful smile, my brother. We want to see that beautiful smile. What's going on with you, man? Are you hurricane ready on the south side?
Hey, bro. You know, man, we are lifelong Houstonians, man, and we've been blessed and fortunate to have been through a lot of these. And you know, I do the best I can. I pray, I stay aware of it, look at it, man, and I just try to go on about it as you know, as a normal day, man. I don't put a whole lot of stress on it, man. I try to stay prepared and prayed up, man. The best that I can, man, because, you know, we done been through a lot of them down here, man.
No doubt. And, man, you know what? Since we touched on it, let's start right there, man. Was it Hurricane Burrow supposed to make landfall sometime, you know, down on the southern coast, Brownsville, Corpus Christi area? We're supposed to have some pretty bad weather here tomorrow, here in the Houston area. And as you mentioned it, you know, we've been through a lot of these in our 50 plus years here in H-Town. Hurricane Alicia, Hurricane Ike, obviously Hurricane Harvey back in 2017. Carla. We dealt with the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, with everyone from New Orleans and Louisiana fleeing to the city. So we want to talk about that. But first of all, or second of all, I should say, for those of you joining the show and new to the show, we definitely want to invite you to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and share the show out. And we're definitely going to get into sports here in just a moment. But we definitely want to touch on this hurricane, man. And I worked before I got really into sports. right? When I first started in the industry some 25, 30 years ago, I worked on the news side of the industry. And I know how the news likes to sensationalize and how it likes to uh, not purposely, but almost purposely scare people when storms are coming. And today, man, around noon today after church, I said, let me go to HEB, pick up a few items for the house because we were kind of short on groceries anyway, right? Because I hadn't been to the store in a couple of weeks. So let me go to the store, pick up a couple of items. Man, it's just like panic in the stores, people in the stores overbuying stuff, just taking all the water, all the bread, just panic shopping, just like panic shopping, man. And I was talking to a friend of mine this evening, and she had mentioned how she had asked her daughter to go to the store, pick up a couple of items because there was a couple of items she forgot to get. Man, she sent me some pictures today from this evening. Shelves just empty, dog. I mean, and I like to tell people, man, prepare, but don't panic shop, man. I just want to know your thoughts on that. Have you ever been in that situation? Maybe your family, your wife, sister, anybody where you panic shop?
I think it was Ike. I was working at Westbury psychiatric program, inpatient and as well outpatient. And we evacuated like 432 patients, man. And over my years of having to work in these storms and doing these storms, man, is that more and more people was not being amused. The media, the news station has lost the trust of the viewers. So a lot of time people tend to think that they are overblowing it, that they are blowing it out of proportion, man. But one thing that I will comment on that, and for as Harvey, because when Harvey hit, I was working for the city of Houston. And I will say this, as a city as a whole, we took Harvey light. The administration took Harvey light. They took information and they twisted it to fit their well-beings, and it almost took the city under, man. We was very, very close to going under, Ken. We were real close going under. If they don't release the water through the reservoir and flood out some community that had not gotten flooding out, the city clearly would have been under. Mm-hmm. So I'm all for overreacting. I'm for it, because at the end of the day, it's none of our. I mean, God put people in position to give us knowledge of His works and His will to some degree. And I'm just like this. I don't take it lightly, man. So if I walk in the store, man, and the shelf is empty, I truly understand why it's empty. And people have been caught off guard and have been in situations where they've been without power for weeks at a time because of these storms and these weather conditions, man. So, people just, they don't want to go through that again, man. And,
right.
They just don't want to go through that. They want to be prepared to the best they can and allow God's will to come through. So, going in the stores, I went in there early this morning. It was, it was real early this morning, man. Mm-hmm. And they were empty, man. They were empty, man.
So, it was empty early this morning on your side?
Yeah. They were empty this morning, man.
Walmart. Yeah, it was pretty full over here this morning. I didn't have any issues getting the items that I needed. I did see a lot of people, just full baskets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you definitely want to prepare. You definitely want to take all your precautions. You want to make sure you have your canned goods, your non-perishable items, your water, of course. If you got kids, you want to have snacks for the kids and things of that nature. But I'm also cognizant, I guess, because of going through it with the pandemic, how you couldn't find stuff, and I think there's still some anguish and leftover effects from that. When you couldn't find toilet paper, you couldn't find paper towels and sanitizers and masks and bleach and things of that nature. So I guess it's still some mental residue, kind of some PTSD from the pandemic, and particularly here in the Houston area, people tend to maybe panic shop a little bit. So it was just kind of interesting seeing that today. But we definitely want everyone to be safe. Definitely praying for everyone that is in the eye of the storm down south in Brownsville, down in Corpus Christi area. Definitely want you guys to be prepared.
And one more thing about that, big bro, is that this storm is not as fearful as Harvey, but it's on the same path that Harvey. Remember, the eye of the storm hit between Corpus and Edna. The eye of the storm of Harvey did not hit Houston. It's the back end of the storm where the rain and the water was that hit us and took us under. And it's sort of like this. Now the eye of the storm is projected to hit somewhere along the southern coastal surf. But it's that rain, the wind that's it's not as fearful and as strong as Harvey was. I think right now, I think they saying it was up to 95. I don't even think it ain't got up to 100 miles an hour yet. But still, that's still a lot of wind, and 95 miles an hour wind, Is that's a lot of wind, man. Still a lot of wind. So we just been, we want to, my thing with the news and everything, and you saying that they kind of want to fear the public, but I think they need to be more knowledgeable. Give us more knowledge. Give us more information, versus the scare tactic. I understand where you're coming from because it can come
scare tactics. Thank you. That's the phrase I was looking for. Thank you, big bro. Scare tactics.
Yeah, scare tactic that they're using, man. And I can understand that, come on, it's a better way that you can come to us, as viewers and the public and citizens versus, coming at us, in a form of fear, So I feel you on that there. I just think they need to give us more information and educate us more on how these storms form and how they twist and just in just a blink of an eye, it can go off course and go in a whole different direction, So that's what I think that the media need to do more of, is give us more information, break this storm down to us a little bit more better, versus coming at it with scare tactics, because most people not gonna leave their homes anyway.
Right. Well, definitely, if you guys are chiming in tonight, we definitely want to hear your comments on how you've prepared for this particular storm, how you've prepared in the past, some things that have worked, some things that haven't worked in the past that maybe you've learned from during some previous storms that you and your family have gone through. So we definitely want to hear your thoughts on that. But we're definitely going to get into sports because we are a sports show, but also, we're a life show as well. So we definitely want you guys to be prepared as far as that. While we're on the subject, hurricane snacks. What does what's the hurricane snack plan for you guys? I know I got the big Frito-Lay box, 42 chips with the all the Doritos and Fritos and Lay's potato chips. And the wife went in the kitchen and hooked up some banana pudding and etouffee. So we set, as long as the power doesn't go out, we good. Now, if the power goes out, that's where you got to go into you got to go into disaster plan at that point.
You got to go in survival mode. You got to go
into survival mode. You might have to get out on the pit.
That's why you keep fruit. Keep plenty of fruit, plenty of tater chips, plenty of honey buns. I mean,
oh, come on, man, not the honey buns,
shit,
man.
Shit, and even some of the things that I'm not big fans of right now, like sardines and things like that. I ate that growing up, so I mean, just try to have something, some palatable things in there.
I got a box of honey buns over there that I haven't even touched. My wife bought some honey buns about a month ago.
Well,
why
are you letting them waste, brother?
I'm not doing the honey buns no more, baby.
Why are you letting them waste, man?
I just hadn't been eating them, man. But
okay,
I'm happy to ship them to you. I'll be happy to ship them to you.
Say no, man. Don't keep your honey buns over there, man. You eventually get around to them, man. But hey, man, like you say, we fit to close out this NBA free agency, and let's get down to it, bro. Let's get down to it.
Let's highlight it, man. So, NBA free agency, for the most part, all of the big names are off the board now. So what we plan on doing tonight is kind of highlighting some of the major signings, seeing where teams are now compared to where they ended the season, and then projections for 2024-25. This is other than the playoffs, this is my favorite time of the NBA season, is NBA free agency.
Yeah.
Particularly when the Rockets had Daryl Morey here, you always knew that something was going to happen with the Houston Rockets. Now, sadly, for me, probably for you, that is not the case with this regime, at least at this time. The Rockets pretty much stood pat during free agency. They made one small signing, A.J. Griffin out of Atlanta, who looks to earn a role as a reserve on the team in the front court. But other than that, the Rockets are bringing the band back. But let's start in the Eastern Conference. Let's take a look at some of the big moves that happened over the past week, and we'll break those down here. Give me one moment to bring those up for us. So the 76ers, they were the big movers. I don't know if they were the big winners, but they were the big movers during free agency. They signed Paul George, who was the number one free agent on the board, 4-year, $212 million deal, if I remember correctly. They also bring back Andre Drummond, who is going to be a critical piece behind Joel Embiid, who we all know is injury prone, and we all know what happened to the Sixers last year when Joel Embiid went down. They bring back Eric Gordon, who, of course, we know well here in Houston, who has a relationship with Daryl Morey. He goes back to play for Daryl Morey, we presume in a reserve role coming off the bench for the Sixers. And over this past weekend, they add a huge piece, in my opinion, a sneaky good signing in power forward Caleb Martin. Martin was a big contributor on that Miami Heat team that went to the finals a couple of years ago with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. He leaves Miami on a free agent deal, I believe 4 years, $32 million, a very good price for a guy that they look to drop into that starting lineup. So for Philadelphia, you're looking at a backcourt now of Kelly Oubre and Tyrese Maxey. You're looking at a front court of Paul George, Caleb Martin, and Joel Embiid, with Eric Gordon and Andre Drummond coming off the bench. Your thoughts on the Philadelphia 76ers? Did they improve or did they take a step back?
They improved. The Sixers improved. It's almost like a match made in hell. Almost like a match made in hell.
Hell or heaven?
No. I was being sarcastic. Sarcastic.
Okay.
Because it fits so well. The Paul George signing was inedible. It fit Philly and it fit him. It was really no direction that the Sixers could have went off Paul George for that matter. That would have made sense, and that would have truly fit. There was no question about your role and what position you're playing. Are you playing out of position? And then so it fit well. Signing Andre Drummond may come down to be a better signing than Paul George. With Embiid being injured a lot, I like Andre Drummond, big bro. I like him. I like Andre Drummond, man. I like him. He brings to the table what he is. He don't do no more than what he is, and you're gonna get that every night. He's gonna crash the boards. He's gonna crash the board. Eric Gordon. I remember Eric Gordon was Mr. Indiana basketball. Come out of Indiana. I think he only went 1 year in Indiana, man. And to me, he was kind of one of those stars that I was just waiting on to take that next leap, that next leap in his career. And to me, he never did. You know, at best being a sixth man of the year. But if he can come in and understand his role, he got that James Harden in him too. He'll jack up from half court too. He got that in him too. But Eric is tough though. He's a big boy. He's a big boy. When I was going to the Rockets game and we were chasing Golden State, Eric Gordon a big boy, man. He's about 6'3", 6'4", and you know he's pretty chunky, man. So he can put the ball on the floor as needed too. But the real pickup is the Martin guy that got from the Heat. That was a great signing there. Now the floor is spaced. Now you have playmakers and shooters around Embiid. Embiid can now take plays off. He can take some plays off now, you know, and let's keep him healthy for the most part, especially going down the stretch and into the playoffs, man. But right now, man, I would give the Sixers as having the best offseason thus far than what we've been seeing. Hands up, I like the moves that the Sixers made.
Yeah, the Caleb Martin move was the deal that kind of put it over the top for me, where I said, okay, now they have a unit. Because when we talked last week, we didn't know who was going to be the two guard. We didn't know who was going to be the power forward. I think Caleb Martin is an excellent signing. They played Nick Batum at that spot last year in the playoffs. Batum had a very good postseason, but he is an older player. He left to go back to the Clippers. They lost Buddy Hield. So you lose Buddy Hield, you replace him with Eric Gordon, a guy, again, that Daryl Morey trusts. Kelly Oubre came over in midseason last year. So now he's had, 3/4 of a season with the team. He'll have a full off season and a full training camp with them. And they won't have that James Harden burden going into the season that they had going into the season last year. So I think all of those things make this a win for Philadelphia. One thing that they have to be cautious of is that their two of their top three players are still injury-prone players. Paul George, he was supposed to be the missing piece in Oklahoma City. That never came to fruition. He was supposed to be the missing piece with the Clippers. That never came to fruition. Partly his fault, partly Kawhi Leonard's fault. Now he's supposed to be the missing piece in Philadelphia. Hopefully he can live up to the paycheck this time around.
Where would you play Paul George? If you were a coach of a team and you got Paul George on your team, where would you play him? Would you play him at the 2 or would you play him at the 3? Because this has seemed to be the problem everywhere he's been since he left Indiana. He's sort of like, where is he? What position is he?
There is, in the NBA now, as you know, it's almost positionless, particularly with the wing players, because everybody's switching. Every time you set a pick, guys aren't fighting through picks. you just switching. So, I mean, he's a small forward / shooting guard. He can play either position. You know, the key is on the defensive end. Can you guard a Jason Tatum? Or can you guard a Jaylen Brown at this stage of his career? You know, those are the players that he has to compete with. The Miles Bridges, the Josh Harts when they play New York. You know, when they play the Lakers, okay, can you check LeBron James or do you need to check Austin Reeves? So it's going to be a lot of mix and match. I don't think there's one true position for Paul George. He's just a wing player.
Because me, I wouldn't start Kelly Oubre. He would be coming off my bench. I wouldn't start him. So that's why I say, like, where would you play? Because Morton can play the 3.
But you don't have a 4. Martin has to play the 4 because they don't have a power forward on the roster.
They don't have a power forward on the roster at all. Okay.
Well, that's capable of starting. They may have someone that's like a 10th, 11th man.
Yeah.
But they don't have a guy that you can start. I'm with you. I wouldn't want Kelly Oubre to be a starter either. But the way their team is constructed, right now he has to be the starter because they lost DeAnthony Melton this offseason. I believe he went to Golden State, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Western Conference.
Yeah, and putting a bow on Paul George. I'm just asking you this, big bro, because I already know how I feel about PG-13. Is he a superstar?
No.
I agree with you.
He's a good basketball player.
He's a star. Yeah.
He's a star. Yeah.
He's a star.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And maybe down the line we'll get to this superstar thing in the NBA. How many of them is really just there, you know? But that's another conversation maybe somewhere.
All right. So let's move to their main competition outside of Boston. Boston brought everybody back. So we don't really need to talk about Boston. The only thing that Boston has to worry about is if Kristaps Porzingis is going to be, when will he be available next year?
But I disagree with that with Boston, man. I disagree with that with Boston because Boston has done something that me and you that I talk about specifically, and you have accepted that, and you agree with it most of the time. And I say this: the Celtics didn't improve the roster, man. Yeah, they bringing back their top 7 players. The top 7 players.
They're bringing back everybody, the whole 12, all 12 of them.
Bringing them back, but that's not improving your team, man. I still think the Celtics need a legitimate big man. He may not be as versatile as Porzingis is.
Remember, they also have Xavier Tillman, who is a big guy that came in and played well when Porzingis went down in the playoffs.
Yeah, but he didn't get any playing time in the playoffs, though.
No,
he did.
He played when Porzingis went down, when Porzingis got hurt in the
finals. In the regular season.
No. In the playoffs. Remember, Porzingis was hurt to begin the playoffs.
Yeah.
He came back, and then he got hurt again. Xavier Tillman was the guy that played during that time when Porzingis was hurt in the playoffs.
I can't remember.
Porzingis missed about 3 weeks of the playoffs.
Yeah. And I remember the white guy, Hauser. Hauser got a lot of playing time.
Hauser, yes.
Yeah, he got a lot of playing time. I don't remember Tillman, but I'm sure you're right about it though. I didn't remember him. So if he is a big guy that's on the roster, and he had moments, flashes of when he get playing time, then that's great. But I still, as far as I can see, they still need a rim protector, man. Again, they don't have to be a Porzingis style player, but they need to get they're gonna have to get big, man. They can't get away with Jason Tatum playing at most of the time playing the 4 position. They can't get away with that all the time. And I don't know if you agree with me or not.
I disagree with you. That's his position now.
So you think that's it? So KD playing the four? KD been playing the four a lot here lately himself. I don't know if that's getting the best out of KD, and for that matter, Jason Tatum. Anyway, but I guess there's no true power forward. There's no more Karl Malones and Barkley. I guess it's those guys, the KGs. I guess there are no more them type of guys where the power forward position was brutal.
There is no power forwards in the NBA anymore that we grew up with. Yeah, there are no traditional Karl Malone, Otis Thorpe, Maurice Lucas, Bob McAdoo.
Okay, so maybe. Okay. Yeah, I'm still accepting the new NBA as well, man. I'm still adapting to this new NBA as well. Because it almost lost me, brother. It almost lost me, man.
So getting to the Knicks, man. So the Knicks, again, they lose Isaiah Hartenstein to Oklahoma City. They trade five first-round picks for Miles Bridges from Brooklyn, who's never made an all-star team. Good player, not a great player, very good, solid player in the NBA. But 5 first-round picks, that's a little wild. The positive news is he has a very affordable contract. He's only being, I say only, in NBA terms, monopoly money, making $23 to $24 million per year, which for his production is a lot higher than the value of his contract. So he slides into that wing position conglomerate with OG Anunoby and Josh Hart and DiVincenzo, Julius Randle coming back. Julius Randle, who is a traditional power forward, he may actually have to slide to the center spot now because the only other big they have with Hartenstein leaving is Mitchell Robinson. So for the Knicks, I think it's a win in the short term, bringing in Miles Bridges, not having to overpay Hartenstein. But I think in the long term, giving up 5 first-round picks is championship or bust, in my opinion, for the New York Knicks. When you give up 5 first-round picks, it's championship or bust at this point.
I mean, if these draft picks was NFL draft picks, I could maybe see something, down the line in the draft. But I mean, just realistically speaking, man, this past NBA draft will probably go down. Some are saying it's worth draft in modern day history outside the 2000 NBA draft. I'm not very big on picks in the NBA. I'm just not. I'm
not either, but 5. I mean, come on. At some point, you gotta. I mean, the players come from draft picks eventually. You gotta have something on your team. You can't live in free agency.
And I mean, I'm with you on that, but again, they filled a position or a need that didn't cost them very much. They needed another go-to scorer. He didn't have to be a superstar. Tom Thibodeau going old school with us, man. We need to enjoy this Knicks team that's going to be put out there, Ken. We need to enjoy it, man, because this is about as close as old school as we probably going to see in the modern day NBA, man. With the European players coming over and how the game is being played now. So we got to appreciate this. When you really have one bona fide star on the team in Jalen Brunson, he's not a superstar, but he is a star in this league, in the league. And you add another 20-point scorer every night and a great defender as well. And hey, man, we got some old school basketball in New York, man. I'm happy to see the Knicks doing playing better in the organization as a whole because for the last 20 years, let's be real, man. They've been dragged in the mud, So it's their time, man, to shine a little bit. So I don't really have a problem with them. I'm losing Hartenstein, man. I think you can find a Hartenstein someplace. They're out there, but it's not. It's very difficult to find a 20 point a night guy, and he's holding the best guy on the other team as well. So those guys right there are hard to find. But Hardenstein, they come a dime a dozen. And I'm not taking anything from the guy. The 12th guy on the NBA team is great to me, because he made it. The 12th guy on the team, he's there. He's there, Ken. He's made it. So I don't take nothing away from any of them that make a professional team, man. But I like them, but I still would not put them in front of the Knicks. I mean, in front of the Sixers. And even for that matter, not even in front of the Celtics, with me not being, I'm not happy that the Celtics stayed packed. Again, I still think they need some size, man, but we'll see how that works. Porzingis, to me, probably won't play before the All-Star break. I'm not looking for him to play before then. And hopefully the big two, and you can add Drew and them guys in there will keep the Celtics rolling through. But I like this. It helped the Knicks. It improved the Knicks. They did improve. But I don't think that this move is the move to take them over the top. Just, with the roster, the way we're looking at them now, and barring no interest to nobody.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think in totality, I would put them slightly behind Philly at this point. If Embiid was healthy in the playoffs last year, I think Philadelphia would have beat the Knicks. This does help them. It does give them some additional depth. But I think it's really close between those two ball clubs. Cleveland, they pretty much stayed packed this offseason. The big move for them was that they were able to get a contract extension with Donovan Mitchell, 3 years, $150 million. Of course, they fired J.B. Bickerstaff. They bring in Kenny Atkinson. One thing I did find out, one thing I finally realized that was kind of part of that move is that Kenny Atkinson, he was the head coach in Brooklyn when Jared Allen and Karis LeVert were coming up. So he has a relationship with those guys, has a real good relationship with those guys, has a reputation of being able to develop big men. So they're hoping that he can help get Evan Mobley into an all-star caliber player. So if they can get Evan Mobley to improve, get the continuity on that roster. Now, they got to still figure out the backcourt with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. There's some talk that maybe those guys don't get along. I don't know. But I think Cleveland, they're kind of in the middle, right? They're a good team, but there are 3 or 4 other teams that are better than them in the East. And they're strictly going to have to depend on their star players getting better. And I think we're both in agreement on Donovan Mitchell that he's a good player. He's a star. He's an all-star, but I don't think he can be the best player. Well, I know he cannot be the best player on a championship team.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a superstar. He's not a superstar. The Cavaliers, to me, is one team that I think, if they can stay injury free. I think the players that they have, I think they need a wing guy though. I really do. I think they need a wing guy. But I think they have the players there who can become stars in this league, in Mobley and in the center.
Jared Allen.
I think they have it. I think the backcourt of Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell together with and this is based on everybody improving and taking their game to a different level. I don't think that JB should have been fired. I don't think he was worthy of being fired. I think he did a great job with him. But again, that's another story. That's always certain. Shout out to him. He got a job with the Pistons. Let's see what they're doing now. Let's see what the Pistons do anyway. But I mean, this deal right here, it don't really show me anything just yet. Again, they have the players there, and it's all about the players stepping their game up to another level. It's not like they don't have the talent on this team. But again, I still think they're a wing player away from being talked about in the same conversation that we be talking about with Philly and Boston, man.
Yep, got you. All right, well, let's take a look at the kind of the other contenders in the East right now, and we'll kind of rapidly go through these. Orlando Magic. Their big signing was signing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They get him from Denver, a 3-year, $66 million deal. They also re-signed a number of their own free agents. Franz Wagner, max contract, 5 years, $224 million. Jonathan Isaac, 5-year, $84 million deal. A guy who's a defensive stalwart, has a lot of injuries in his history. He has to be able to stay on the court. Morant Wagner, a center, brother of Franz, 2-year, $22 million extension. Goga Biatazi, I can't really pronounce his last name. He signed a 3-year, $25 million extension as well. And they also brought back Gary Harris, a backup shooting guard, on a 2-year, $15 million deal. So Orlando brought all of their key players back. In addition, they bring in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Any quick thoughts on the Orlando Magic?
Bad sign. He's not that player that can even get them in the top 4 seed. You know, they finished. They was number 5. They finished the 5 seed last season, if I'm not mistaken. Because they played Cleveland.
I think they were in the play-in. If I'm not
No, Orlando
mistaken.
wasn't in the play-in.
Orlando.
Orlando. They wasn't in the play-in. They was the 5th seed. That's how they played Cleveland in the first round.
Okay.
Yeah. Cleveland was 4 and they were 5. So I don't think. I don't think he moved the needle at all. I just don't. Shout out to him. He got 2 championships. Got one with the Lakers and he got one with Denver. Shout out to him. Right place, right time. Robert Ory got 7, and Steve Kerr got 4 or 5, and they were not nowhere near being the stars of the team, but they did contribute. So he got his championship. I don't think that he's what Orlando needed at the moment. Clay kind of fit more what their needs were, and that was some legitimate outside shooting, man. When the shot's not falling, someone that has a history of knocking down shots, man. As your big guys.
Well, Clay didn't want to go to Orlando. He wanted to go to Dallas. So it takes 2 to tango. So
absolutely.
They went with the next available shooting guard.
Right. So again, that's what's out there. I wouldn't have gave him that money, not for what I'm going to be expecting of him. I just wouldn't have did it. Try to figure out something else, another way to make it work. But I don't see this being nothing significant that'll move the needle for the Orlando Magic.
All right. So moving on, a couple of teams and we'll get into this next as we look at the Eastern Conference hierarchy. Atlanta Hawks, they lose DeJounte Murray. So they still have Trae Young in the backcourt. The Charlotte Hornets, they re-signed Miles Bridges to a 3-year, $75 million deal. I thought that was great of Charlotte to bring him back. Miles Bridges, of course, we all know about his off-the-court domestic issues that cost him a full season, and then he was suspended for the first 10 games of last year. But you can't deny he's a hell of a basketball player. Big guy, 6'7", 6'8", can do everything with the basketball. If he was in a major market, you would hear a lot more talk about Miles Bridges as possibly an all-star caliber player, but he really ruined his reputation with what he did off the court. And he's kind of stuck in Charlotte in a situation where the team hasn't been good because their best player, LaMelo Ball, can't stay healthy. But again, LaMelo Ball only 23 years old, So if for some way he can find a way to stay on the court, I think he would have an opportunity to really help this team. So when we look at all the moves in the Eastern Conference and we take a look at where these teams kind of stood last year and kind of our projections on where they may go into this upcoming season. So Eastern Conference, here are my top 11 teams, kind of based on what they did this offseason and where they finished last year. These, obviously, 6 teams will automatically get into the playoffs, and then you have the other 4 that will go into the play-in tournament. So I have 11 teams that I consider to be playoff contenders. The teams to the left, I consider locked. The Celtics, the Knicks, the Sixers, Milwaukee Bucks, who we didn't mention, Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers. Play-in teams, I got Orlando, Miami Heat, who just lost Caleb Martin, Toronto, Scotty Barnes is coming back, Emmanuel Quickly is coming back. They traded for R.J. Barrett, so I think they'll be a little improved. And then you got Charlotte and Atlanta kind of fighting for that last play-in spot. Not a lot of good teams in the Eastern Conference. The teams I don't have listed are Washington, Brooklyn, Detroit, and there's one more that I'm missing. But in any event, your thoughts on the Eastern Conference with all the moves that we just talked about, how do you see it shaking out coming into 2024-25?
I mean, your top 6, I agree with you on that. I'm not the order that you have them in, but I agree with it with that. I don't think the Celtics will be at the top of the list. I think they'll be in the middle of the pack somewhere, 3, 4, somewhere along in there. I really do.
Wow. Who you think gonna be number 1?
I think the Knicks gonna come out, man. I think the Knicks gonna come out. And man, you know, I'm trying to. I know what I said about the Milwaukee Bucks when they won a championship and the Phoenix Suns, and I made a quote to my son that we'll never see either one of those teams in the finals again. And I'm gonna even double down even more on that just because they got Doc Rivers now. So I don't even want to even talk about the Bucks now because it hurts me, man.
Well, no, I'm asking you, who do you have number 1?
Oh, right now I have the Sixers will be number 1.
Okay, because you said the Knicks a minute ago. I just want to make sure I heard you.
I said the Sixers will be number 1. And I think the Knicks will be number 2. I think the Knicks will be in front of Celtics as well, man. I think the Knicks is built for is more of a regular season team right now.
Okay.
And again, the Bucks and Cavs, the Pacers. The Pacers, to me, is the wild horse into this. If they can play a little bit more defense, if you can get Miles Turner to become an all-star player, same what we see about with Mobley down in Cleveland. If we can get Miles Turner to be that guy, the Pacers can move up in that pecking order quite a few spots. If you may agree with that yourself, big bro. But
I do.
They're the wild card in this Eastern Conference. Again, bearing no injuries, man. We know injury always
right. Injuries gonna play a role.
Man, it take the fun out the game, big bro. It take the fun out the game. But I see the Sixers. See the Sixers, man. Nick Nurse, man. Shout out to him. You said Nick Nurse was a great coach. You did. And I was skeptical with him. And you made me pay him a little more attention to him. So Nick Nurse, man, I give him call being one of the great minds that's in the game of basketball right now. And I think that's what Joel Embiid needed. I think to a sense, and I'm not taking anything from Ty Lue, but I don't think that Sixers team, that Clipper team was built to win. I think they just throw some guys out there. So I think Paul George knows what is expected of him now. And I think we're going to see the best version of Paul George since the post-Olympic injury when he broke his leg in the Olympics, man. We've been looking for that Paul George for a long time, and we haven't seen it.
What you think about the right side of the screen? Do you think any of the teams on the right side can move into the top 6?
No.
Okay.
Not construction where they're built now. No. Listen.
Okay.
The Miami Heat is in trouble, man. They're in trouble. They kind of falling into that group of kind of drinking your own Kool-Aid, you know? And hey, man, listen, when you talk about overachievers, the last 2 or 3 years, the Miami Heat was the most overachievers in the NBA. I think we both agree on that. They went to the finals 2 out of 3 years, I think. So they're the most overachievers that in the league. And I think they drank their own Kool-Aid. They never improved their team, man. You know, you get a lot of undrafted guys and walk-on guys and, you know, blue-collar guys, and that's fine. But if you don't have a star, you need one. You need at least one. And right now, the Miami Heat do not have a superstar on that team. Jimmy Butler is not that.
Now, the closest thing they have to it is Bam Adebayo, and they put all of their eggs in the Damian Lillard basket a couple of years ago, and that did not come to fruition, and now they are suffering it. I mean, they've lost 3 critical members of that team. They've just lost Caleb Martin. They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Matt Strus. All 3 of those guys were key contributors. Now, they did a good job. They drafted Jaime Jaquez, who I think is going to be a really good player in this league, but they do have a lot of holes on their team. And really the only thing that's saving the Miami Heat is that they're in the Eastern Conference. If they were in the Western Conference, they would be down there with the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors and the San Antonio Spurs fighting to get into the play-in tournament. I think they are still a playoff team, a play-in team, I should say. I think the top 6, I think the top 7 really, because I think Orlando can make it. They were number 5 last year, so I think they still can ease over and get back into that top 6. But I think it's going to be very, very competitive for those 4, 5, 6 spots, and then 7, 8, or 8, 9, 10, and 11. You know, one team being left off, whether that's Atlanta or Charlotte, or if one of those teams on the right, you know, God forbid, has some type of major injury, then I think that's, of course, is going to play a big role as well. So we're going to take a quick 30-second break. We're going to come back with the Western Conference and break that down all for you here on the Danger Zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
All right, fellas, guys and girls, we are back with you for the second half of the show, where we'll take a look at the Western Conference free agency period, the winners and the losers. We will also get into Bronny James and him being drafted by the LA Lakers. How do we feel about that and how he's doing in Summer League thus far? And we'll touch on a little baseball, the Houston Astros, and, of course, the U.S. Olympic team. So we'll get through this here for you guys as quickly as you can. We definitely want to invite you guys to participate in the show. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you're watching on Facebook or on X, hop over to the YouTube version of the show. Leave your comments, leave your questions. We talked a lot about Hurricane Beryl earlier in the show to open the show. Of course, we are here in Houston as we await, and hopefully this will be a minor hurricane event if there is such a thing. But Big Man, let's go on and dive into this Western Conference. And the number one seed last year, Oklahoma City, they add to their team without losing much. They made a trade for Caruso, who won a championship with the Lakers back in 2020 in the bubble. Spent the last several seasons with the Chicago Bulls in the Eastern Conference. One of the top defensive players in the league. Also is a pretty good three-point shooter. And they bring in Isaiah Hartenstein on a 3-year, $87 million contract. I think the Thunder got marginally better. Caruso helps them defensively. They get Josh Giddey and his lack of production out of the locker room and all of the turmoil that surrounded him last year. And you bring in a guy like Hartenstein. Now, do I expect Hartenstein to do what he did for the Knicks last year? No. I do expect that he can be a good backup or a good complementary player on the side of Chet Holmgren, give him some energy. The question is, can the Oklahoma City coaching staff get as much out of Hartenstein as Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks did?
And I think OKC signed another center too. I can't remember. I'm not sure. The center that Indiana had, Jalen Williams. I might be wrong about that, but I like this. I mean, this is a great example of improving your team. These moves definitely improve their team. But again, like you said, let's see what the coaching staff does, and if they can get the same production out of Hartenstein that the Knicks got out of the Caruso trade was. I mean, it's what they needed. They needed that. They need a guy that gets in there, that give everything you got on defense end of the court, and then can spot up and hit a three. So this helped them. I see them still as the number one seed in the West. I still see them there. And I think, hey man, shout out to Presley, man, the GM down there in OKC, man. He built his team, man. And this is a young team. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon, bearing any injuries or anything. So shout out to them, man. OKC, man, small market, man. But they showing that you can win in a small market city as well, man. So again, I will still have them as my number one seed going into the regular season, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But this was excellent moves, man. Excellent move.
And they built this team through the draft. Remember, they went and got Shea, but they had to trade. They traded Paul George. They got back all those draft picks from the Clippers, along with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and they've used those draft picks to their maximum. They've hit on almost every single draft pick. So that was my problem with the Knicks, giving up all those picks for Mikal Bridges. I think when you give away that many picks, you have to get a superstar or at least an all-star in return, in my opinion. But not to go back and harp on the Knicks, I agree with you. I think this keeps Oklahoma City as the number one seed. They're only going to get better. They're only going to get more experience. And now, do I think they're a championship team yet? I still think they're probably 1 year, maybe one other piece away from being a championship team. But I think this still firmly gets them in contention to possibly take that next step to get to a Western Conference Finals, to take a team deep into the Western Conference Finals. And look, if they play the right team, they get the right matchup, they get the right break, they have the type of depth on their team. I think now it comes down to having those good players take the next step. Having Holmgren go from being a good player to a borderline all-star. Lou Dort go from being a good player to an all-defensive player. Jalen Williams, they got the two Jalen Williams. Those guys continue to elevate their game. Shea, SGA, don't fall off. Continue to be a top 5 player in that MVP world. So if those players continue to improve, I think this is a team that can challenge for the Western Conference Finals next year.
Absolutely. We need one of those other guys to step up and be recognized, if not like Shea Alexander, but close to being ranked near the top of his game. They need the Jalen Williams, and it's another guy, or either Hogan, either Chad Hogan, either one of those guys. They have to take the next step, you know. And when I mean that next step, we need 23, 24, 25 a game. Like we pinned on with Jay Childress. We need that's what they got it. They're sort of like Cleveland. They got everything there. Now it's all about development, man. It's all about development.
Yeah, no doubt. So the Mavericks, they probably made one of the second biggest moves in the Western Conference. They get Klay Thompson from Golden State. So they lose Josh Green. They also lost Derrick Jones. So they lose those two guys, but they bring in Najee Marshall, who's a good defender, three-point shooter off the bench from New Orleans. And then obviously they bring in Game 6 Klay. The Mavericks better, worse, or the same, the team that got to the NBA Finals?
On paper, they're better. Yeah, on paper, they're better. I was against this signing at first. And my brother, that's why I love you so much, my brother. You kind of showed me a different part of the light, man. You know, go in there, you got to look a little bit, no, turn the light on, got to look a little bit more, got to turn the light on. Mm-hmm. And Klay's in the perfect situation to really show the world, you know, that the Warriors made a mistake in not bringing them back. He fits it. So this right here, I like this. Again, let's see how they bigs play. You know, you're going to have to get something from your bigs at some point, and you know it catch up with you in the playoffs. The Mavericks didn't get anything from their bigs in the playoffs. You can blame a lot of that on Kyrie as well. They didn't get a lot out of him in the finals as well, but they didn't get a lot out their bigs. So I'm still concerned about that. But this signing here, they improved their team. Is it enough to win a title? I don't believe so though. I don't think so.
I mean, you need Luka. He did make Lithuania did not make the Olympics. They lost to Greece, I believe, yesterday. So his team will not be in the Olympics. Obviously, he's disappointed by that. But as far as his NBA career, that may be the best thing for him because now he gets to rest, he gets to heal, and then hopefully take the second half of the offseason to get into shape. Maybe lose a few pounds, be prepared to take that deep playoff run. And once you get, pardon me, once you get to the NBA Finals, you're not as exhausted as he was this year. Kyrie is Kyrie at this point. You know, very good player. Probably off that superstar level now, but still a very good player. But the way that both of those guys can get to the hole and create open shots, you got to have guys that can make down shots. Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, those guys are going to have to knock down shots. and you're going to have some surprise guys off the bench, PJ Washington as well. Those type of guys are going to have to knock down shots. I agree with you. I don't think that it's a championship winning team, but I think it is a team like Oklahoma City that if you get the right matchup, you get the right breaks as far as injuries are concerned, all you can do is put yourself in position. And I think this is a team that can put themselves. Last year, they were a 5 seed. I think this year, this is a team that will ascend to a top 2 or 3 seed in the Western Conference. We talked about Golden State. They lose Klay Thompson. Now, they make some small signings around his number. They bring in Buddy Hield, who's a good outside shooter, had some up and down moments with Philadelphia last year in the postseason. DeAnthony Melton, a sneaky, good pick backup guard, also comes over from Philadelphia. And Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, doesn't really shoot the 3 ball, but he's a good defender, comes over as well from Minnesota, I believe he was with last year. Golden State did not make the playoff, lost in the play-in tournament. Is this a team that can make any noise at all, or is this just another team that's just going to be fighting for a play-in spot?
They're going to be fighting for a play-in spot. This team kind of reminds me of the 76ers in the 2000 with Allen Iverson. You had a great scorer in AI, and then you just put a bunch of role players around them. This kind of like what then happened here in Golden State with Steph. You got a great player in Steph, a great shooter in Steph, and now you put a bunch of role players around them, and hopefully everybody do their job and make the team more competitive. But just looking at this roster right now, we're not having a number 2 scorer nowhere in. It's not even on the roster as we speak. How can I? I'm only going to give him play-in action because of Steph. But this team is not. It's going to be competitive. Let's see if Steve Kerr can coach. Let's see what he got. His coaching resume to me, to some degree, is being questioned. When you have the best backcourt in history of basketball, X and O do matter in basketball. But now let's see if that 17, 18 million a year he get. Let's see him work for a little bit now, without having a number 2 score. Even if Klay slumped and down, his number slumped last season, he was still the number 2 scorer on the team. Mm-hmm. And I think he finished with 17, 18 points a game. So let's see what Steve Kerr can cook up and scheme up to get other people involved and make this a competitive team. But right now, just because of Steph, they're playing team. That's it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think there's still a team that's fighting for the play-in. A team that's kind of on the flux right now, the New Orleans Pelicans. They made a big move. We talked about last week bringing in DeJounte Murray. There was some talk that Brandon Ingram could be on the move. Sacramento was a place that he was rumored to be going to. We'll talk about Sacramento in just a moment. They made a different move than going for Brandon Ingram. So if you assume that Brandon Ingram is coming back, and now you pair DeJounte Murray with C.J. McCollum in the backcourt, and you got Brandon Ingram and Zion at the 3 and the 4. Now you're missing a center because Jonas Valanciunas left and went to the Wizards.
And they're going to miss.
And you got a big hole, and you also lost Larry Nance Jr. So you don't have any bigs right now with the New Orleans Pelicans of substance. So to me, this is a team that can go either way depending on how the rest of their offseason goes, because they still need a center, and Brandon Ingram is still in question as to what they do with him.
I like the Murray trade. I was a fan DeJounte Murray. Even when he started out with San Antonio, I like this play. I like he's a long point guard. I think he's about 6'4". He can get to the basket. He plays pretty good D, and he can shoot the three too. He just him and Trey Young did not mess. That was a terrible matchup. That did not work well at all. And for a minute, I thought Trey Young was going to be the one out of there. Right. For a minute, I did. But again, now New Orleans can now move CJ to what he rightfully is, and that's a two guard. He's been doing a great job the last couple seasons, I know for sure, in New Orleans playing point guard. But that's not really his position. You know, he's really a two guard, and you can take some of that responsibility off of him and kind of let him play his game. Again, New Orleans, you know, at best they're 6 seed. That's at best. But they need something in the middle, and they need it fast, man, because you got to keep that pressure off Zion. You can't let him be getting attacked because he's injury prone. So you don't want him.
Him and Brandon Ingram are injury prone. They both injury prone.
Well, Brandon play a little bit more. Brandon plays
just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Brandon is very injury prone, bro.
You know,
I've had him on my fantasy team multiple times. This dude, he misses 20 to 30 games a year religiously.
Yeah. So but again, I don't think it makes the team better. It makes the team better, but I don't think that it moves the needle for them, though. I don't think it moves the needle because with missing that big center in the middle, they need that guy. They need a center. I was surprised they didn't even go in the draft and even try to get some of them big boy, because it was a few good centers that came out in this last draft, man. Mm-hmm. But again, we'll see how that works. But unless they get something in the middle, I mean, they are, borderline 6 seed play-in team, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we look at this Western Conference, again, it's that. Right. I mean, we have to struggle to find 11 teams just to fight for the 10 spots in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, it's a little bit different. I had to expand it to 12 teams fighting for 10 spots. So let's start with the left side of the screen first. I don't know if we'll have any disagreements here. Oklahoma City, we both agree we think they'll be the number 1 seed with the additions of Hartenstein and Caruso. Minnesota, I think they made a good trade on draft day. They got a kid at the number 8 position. They moved all the way up from 27 to 8 to get a guard to pair next to Anthony Edwards and to play behind Mike Conley, which I think is going to set them up great for the future. The Mavs we talked about, adding Klay Thompson. We didn't talk about Sacramento. They made a big trade over the weekend to get DeMar DeRozan, who I think is an absolutely perfect fit. They finally get rid of Harrison Barnes, probably 2 years too late. And that's part of the reason why they didn't make the playoffs last year, because Harrison Barnes at this stage of his career is not a 35-minute-a-night guy on an NBA playoff team. Denver, I think, has taken a couple of steps back. They lost Bruce Brown last year. They lost Contavious Caldwell-Pope this year. They haven't really added anybody of substance to their roster. And as my little bro always talks about, if you ain't getting better, you're getting worse. The Memphis Grizzlies, this is the team that I think is going to be back in the hunt. They bring Jean Morant back. They got Desmond Bain coming back. They got all those guys that were injured last year. Their entire team was basically out last year with the exception of Jaren Jackson. And they drafted Zach Edey, who I thought was a tremendous pickup and a sleeper on that team. So I think with Ja coming back, that entire team coming back, this is a team a couple of years ago that was challenging in the Western Conference to come out of the West. I think this team moves back into a top 6 position and does not have to worry about the play-in. Your thoughts on the left side of the bracket?
Man, I love that. I love that Grizzly quote. I love it, man. I'm picking them to be even higher than that. I'm picking them to be at least a top 4 seed, man. I mean, because they are the team, man. Just the Ja Morant thing has crippled this team the last 2 seasons, and with him getting injured when he came back. This is the wild card team in the West. It's the Memphis Grizzlies, man. They're the team in the West that I'm picking to shake up the. I don't see the Mavericks as I don't see the Mavericks as a number 3 seed. I see them more down low, more like the 6 seed. That's kind of why I see
Wait.
Yeah.
We just talked about Dallas 5 minutes ago, and you said they improved.
Yeah, they improved.
They were a 5 seed, and they went to the championship.
Yeah, but the Grizzlies, man.
Okay, the Grizzlies, but there's 5 other teams on the left side of the bracket. You think all 5 of those teams are better than Dallas?
Yes.
Sacramento is better than Dallas?
Yes.
Denver?
Yes.
DeMar DeRozan. I like Sacramento.
Yes.
This is a team that did not make the playoffs.
Yes. Remember I told you this. July 8th, July 7th, whatever the date is. Remember I told you this. Yes. Sacramento.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But man, the Mavericks improved. They got better. But so did the Kings.
The Kings were a 10 seed.
The Kings got better. They got better.
I understand they got better.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, it's your opinion.
Nah. The Nuggets, the longest the Nuggets got Joker, they'll be right long in the mix, top 4, 5 team. I think the Nuggets doesn't really, seeding doesn't matter with them now. Again, seeding doesn't matter.
Well, I guess not, since they lost the game 7 at home after having a 20-point lead.
It don't mean anything.
Seeding doesn't matter.
Don't mean nothing. Don't mean anything, man. Seeding don't mean anything, man. That home court advantage.
We talked about. Yeah, I mean, I understand the home court doesn't mean as much. I'm just saying, how do you think the teams are going to finish? So, what's your top 6? Give me your top 6 in order.
OKC, Memphis, T-Wolves.
You got Memphis number 2.
I got Memphis number 2 seed.
Okay.
I got the Memphis Grizzlies as the number 2 seed. The T-Wolves is number 3. The Kings is 4. Kings and Mavs 4 and 5, and then we can follow up with the no, not the Kings. I mean the Nuggets and the Mavs. OKC.
You're confusing my audience.
OKC.
I'm gonna give you a do-over.
There we go. OKC number 1, Grizzly number 2, Minnesota number 3, Nuggets 4, and there you go. The Kings and Mavericks to fill it out. There you go. That's the top 6. That's the top 6. I like all of them you have. I just don't like the order you have them in. I think the Grizzlies got number 2 seed.
Okay. So you got the Kings at 5 and you got Dallas at 6.
Yeah.
So you got Dallas getting worse, not better.
Well, they got better as a team, but everybody else got better too, Ken. Everybody else got better too.
Denver did not get better. Denver got worse.
But Denver was already good. They are defending. They have won a championship. They got the 3-time MVP and Joker on their team. They got the core, the nucleus of their team. Yes, do we gonna have a problem with Denver and their bench? Yeah, we're gonna have to see that. We'll have to remain that. But of course, man, the Nuggets.
They don't have a shooting guard.
Yeah.
They don't have a shooting guard.
Yeah. Well, they really didn't have one last year neither. He was on the team. They really didn't have one last year neither.
Oh my God. All right, man, it's getting late. It's almost 11 o'clock. Right side of the screen. Who gonna be the 4 teams that make the play in?
Listen, man. You hurry up and you put the Clippers in the danger zone. You hear me?
I got you.
You put them in the danger zone. 7 through 12. I mean, 10. Anybody could win that, man.
10. We need 4 teams.
We need 4 teams, man. So, I mean,
who's out? That might be easier.
Warriors. Warriors out. And Rockers out.
Okay. So you still got the Clippers in the play-in.
Still got
the
them in
Suns and the Lakers.
Yeah, they all
play. The Lakers still in.
They all in play-ins. Yeah, they all in play-ins. The Rockets didn't do anything to improve their team, and the move that the Warriors didn't do anything to help their team. They tried, and unless the Suns come out the gate on their face and go ahead and pull the trigger for Durant now, we're a season away from a move, and it might be a season too late. It might be a season too late for Big Bro. Might be a season for us too late, man.
Well, we're going to talk about your Clippers, and then we'll move on to the rest of the subject. So you put the Clippers in the...
Punk, you're in the danger zone.
Yes. Los Angeles Clippers in the danger zone. The Paul George, Kawhi Leonard experiment has greatly failed. It failed. It failed. It failed because on behalf of the general manager, Lawrence Frank, he did a poor job with this team, man. Other than them making that Western Conference final in 2001, they didn't even get out the second round. The remaining tender there. Now, injury played a role in it, but I felt like Lawrence Frank, he went star hunting. That's what I felt like he did when he bringing in Russell Westbrook and James Harden. He went star hunting, with guys that was clearly past their prime. Clearly past their prime. You the one. Frank is the one who gave up everything for Paul George. And am I right? Was he the general manager then?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't know if he was the general manager then. I don't know.
His regime with the Clippers has been a failure. But we don't hear anyone talking about him getting fired or on the hot seat because that experiment failed. And for you to let Paul George walk out the door for nothing, Ken. Come on, man. For nothing. The Warriors want to make the trade with them. But they were holding the Warriors hostage for 2 number ones. You got to make the move. You can't just let him walk. You already made your mind up you wasn't giving him a max deal. So you already made up your mind and you know that he want the max deal. You trade him, man. Lawrence Frank dropped the ball on this one because you could have got something for him.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
Because they did get something for him. It wasn't, quote unquote, a trade, but they did use his available cap space to get someone other than the trash that is Andrew Wiggins that the Golden State Warriors wanted to attach to the deal. And there's no way in hell I'm taking back Andrew Wiggins under any scenario. I'm not going to do it. So, yeah, they used that money and they went and got Nick Batum, signed him to a 2-year deal for $9 million. They went and got Derrick Jones, who had a very good playoff run with Dallas for 3 years, $10 million. They signed Kevin Porter Jr., who we both like here in Houston. They were able to get him on a minimum deal for 2 years. They got Mo Bamba. I know he's kind of trash, but still, he's a backup center. They picked up Chris Dunn, another backup guard that can help them in the backcourt. So they got guys. Golden State didn't have any superstars to offer them. They weren't offering them Draymond Green or Steph Curry. I think they may have threw in Kuminga in the deal. Okay, Kuminga's a nice player, but I'm not taking Andrew Wiggins.
And that's salary.
Period. None. That's a no-go for me. So I think Lawrence Frank did a good job. He did the best job he could in this scenario. They did not tie themselves to Paul George for an additional year, knowing his injury history. They made him a fair offer of a 3-year contract, the same contract that they offered Kawhi Leonard. Now, me personally, I wouldn't have offered Kawhi Leonard a contract at all. Maybe a 1-year deal. But Paul George turned down the exact same contract that Kawhi Leonard accepted. And I wouldn't have gone for a 4th year. Now, bringing back James Harden, you really didn't have a choice at that point because you need somebody to open that new arena with. You got to have somebody on the roster that fans are going to pay a ticket and come see play. So would I want James Harden back? No. But left with the options that they had available to them, I think Lawrence Frank did the best job that he could.
I mean, I'm glad you're a fan of him. I mean, somebody got to root for him.
I did not say I was a fan. I said he did the best job that he could. I would not take back Andrew Wiggins. Maybe you would. I would not take back Andrew Wiggins.
Okay,
I'd rather have Derrick Jones than Andrew Wiggins. Who's the better basketball player right now? Derrick Jones or Andrew Wiggins?
And we're gonna put a bow on the Clippers. They're play-in team at best, and that's if you can get if you can get 65, 66 games out of Kawhi Leonard. They're play-in team at best, at best, maybe could squeeze a 6 seed. But turn the table to your Los Angeles Lakers. This question is for you, brother. Is LeBron James number one concern in the LA Lakers right now? Is winning? Is winning his number one priority?
You know what? It is now. But guess what? It's too late. It's too late. I said this when LeBron went to the Lakers. And you go back and check all of my social media from the time he got drafted by Cleveland all the way through his time in Miami. He was my favorite player in the NBA. Because every move he made was about winning championships. When he was in Cleveland, it was all about winning championships. When he went to Miami, it was about winning championships. When he went back to Cleveland, it was about putting a team together to win championships. By the way, the foresight, remember when Andrew Wiggins was coming out and he was going to be the number one pick? LeBron said, I don't want Andrew Wiggins. Go give me Kevin Love. Trade that pick for Kevin Love.
And Kevin Love almost was in Golden State. He was almost in Golden State. Yeah.
So everything LeBron did was about winning. When he went to Los Angeles, it was no longer about winning. They did get the championship in the bubble. We all know they wouldn't have won that championship if it would have been a regular 82-game season. But all of those moves in Los Angeles, in my opinion, and I have no, it is what it is. He accomplished everything he wanted. He got his Space Jam 2 movie. He got, all of his entertainment and production companies lined up. He set everything in motion for him to become a billionaire, which was his goal. And his long-term play is to become an NBA owner, which I think he will at some point. become a part owner of an NBA team. I think those were his long-term financial goals. It was no longer about winning. And I think players around the NBA, they see that. I think Klay Thompson put out a quote, hey, he didn't want to leave one fishbowl in Golden State and go to another fishbowl with the Lakers. Buddy Hield had a chance to go to the Lakers. He said, nah, I'm going to go to Golden State. Klay Thompson had a chance to go to the Lakers. He said, nah, I'm going to go to Dallas.
DeMar DeRozan.
Well, they couldn't free up the type of money that DeMar wanted, but still, he's going to Sacramento. Opportunity to play with a better team. But I think now LeBron would like to win because his son is on the team and he got his friend as the coach. So it's in LeBron's best interest to have Bronny in a winning environment and have JJ Redick in a winning environment. Because if JJ Redick goes there and loses, guess who's going to get the blame? LeBron. For bringing his boy
and rightfully so. And rightfully so. He will deserve every inch of that blame. Yes. Which kind of take me to the last team that I like to speak on is the Phoenix Suns. I have no idea which direction the Phoenix Suns is going in right now, man. I don't. I know we probably didn't put up any notes on them. I know they re-signed Royce O'Neal, and
well, they over the cap, they over the aprons. I mean, they over everything.
They over everything. They locked in. They over everything, man.
I think they signed a point guard. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But go ahead, your thoughts while I'm looking.
Well, I mean, it just we don't really see. You can't see anything with them. I mean, what kind of moves? The most important thing, even if you're going to keep this three together, is that you need a distributor out there, man. You need a point guard, and for them not to have reached an agreement with somebody with a point guard somewhere. I mean, who's that signed Chris Dunn? We just talked about that. Somebody signed Chris Dunn. Oh, the Clippers signed Chris Dunn and Kevin Porter Jr. and these guys, these small contract guys, man, that's trying to get another opportunity in the league. For Chris Dunn is probably his last leg right here because he's been a few places. But it's where do the Suns go? This was poor management out the gate with this team being designed, man. They had no idea on how they was going to fill that roster. They just felt like if they got some names, it'd been enough. And obvious that didn't work. And right now, man, the Phoenix Suns could probably finish in a bad position. I'm talking about maybe not as bad as Portland or not as bad as Portland or Utah for that matter, but Phoenix has this is a chance for them to really, really, really finish bad, man. And it's one thing that you kind of can understand with Phoenix is that they just signed a new coach and they gave him a 5-year deal. So it's obvious he's not going anywhere, not anytime soon. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, you never know, man. I mean, they paying these coaches off left and right. I mean, Detroit just gave Monty Williams $65 million to go home. So you never know with that. They did sign Monte Morris to a 1-year minimum contract. I guess he'll be their point guard, but I'm with you. I think Kevin Porter Jr. would have been perfect for that team. He's a good rebounder. He's a good distributor. He has a lot of size. He can play defense. I think he would have been a perfect player. I don't know what kind of contract he got from the Clippers. I'm assuming it's a minimum deal.
Yeah,
but I think he would have been a better choice than Monte Morris for Phoenix.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so it is what it is with the Suns, man. So, we'll see what happens. I know Kevin Durant had some comments today. I don't know if you saw them. He had an interview with Yahoo Sports, I think. Forgive me. I hope I don't mess up his name. I think it's Vincent Goodwin with Yahoo Sports. They did a one-on-one interview today, and he was asking KD, about the trade rumors on draft night and how he felt about it. And, Durant, in typical fashion, blamed the media, said the media was making up lies and, they were using his name for clickbait, so to speak. I'm paraphrasing, of course, stating that he wanted to leave. I didn't remember anybody saying that KD said he wanted to leave Phoenix. What people reported were that the Rockets made their trades in hopes of getting Kevin Durant or Devin Booker. Nobody ever said that Kevin Durant asked out of Phoenix. I think what Stephen A. Smith said was that Phoenix would love to get out of the Kevin Durant business, right? I think
that's what he said. Exactly.
Right. And then I think he also reported, but the Rockets don't want Kevin Durant. They want Devin Booker.
Yeah.
So, and then it was also reported today that we'll probably get into the Olympics a little bit more next week, that now he's hurt and he's going to miss a few days of practice with the Olympic team. So,
man, I wish we had a little more time to speak on that Olympic team stuff because
we got a lot of time. We get into that next week because
because I just don't like some of the players that's on that team shouldn't even be on the team, man. I think there's younger players that's worthy of their spot, man. But again, we'll see probably midway through the season, man, how this thing shape out and work in Phoenix, man. And more than likely, KD would be on the block because they're not going to move Booker for many, many reasons. One thing is he's 7-8 years younger, for one. So we know that that's the likelihood of that happening is probably 0 to none. But that's me as a Rocket fan speaking, because I'm trying to make sense of the trades of giving back all those number ones. I'm trying to make sense out of it, big bro. I'm trying to make sense out of it, man. And the only thing that I can see now is that, if not waiting for another season, man, maybe halfway through the season once Phoenix are pretty much dead and done as far as winning a championship, and maybe they'll start unloading some of that junk down there, man.
Yeah, no doubt. So that'll put a bow on the free agency edition of the show. You guys, again, if you missed most of the show, you can go back and rewatch it. You can see our predictions, our thoughts on the Eastern Conference and Western Conference. Now, before we get out tonight, we definitely want to touch because we are in the middle of baseball season. The All-Star teams were announced today. The Astros will have 2 starters in Jose Altuve and Yordan Alvarez. Kyle Tucker did make the team as a reserve. He will probably get replaced as an injury replacement. He's missed the last, I think, 3 weeks now, and they don't project him to be back until after the All-Star break. But the Astros had been hot. They lost the last 2 games in Minnesota. The last 2 nights. Josh Hader has been one of the sore spots on the team. He's been a disaster as the closer. Ryan Presley has had his struggles as the setup guy. Brian Abreu has had his troubles in the 7th inning. The hitting has finally come around for this team, and I think the hitting is going to have to carry this team through the second half of the season. Seattle, I've watched them pretty closely over the past week. They've had a lot of trouble getting runs home. They're going to be in the market for a hitter. after the All-Star break or maybe even before the trade deadline. So Seattle's going to be looking for some hitting. I think Houston's going to be looking for some pitching. I think this is a race that is probably going to go down to the wire because both of these teams have a lot of holes. But the Astros have played well as of late, and now the boogeyman is back.
Hey, man, with this push before the All-Star break, and then watching them lose this series against the Twins, it still showed me what the Achilles is, and the Achilles is finding a way to win these one-run games. And during the streak that we had, we were finding ways to win those one-run games when they occurred. So I think that's gonna be the turning point of this season and how far we can go. I'm not afraid of the Seattle Mariners. I'm kind of glad when we look at it that we got slow, and it's a bad division that we're in. I think right now we one game, maybe two games. I think we one game over 500, maybe two games over 500. But again, we got to figure out a way to win these one-run games. The game that we losing today, that we shouldn't have lost this game today, man. We shouldn't have lost that game today, man. I mean, come on, man. But these are the same problems we've been having for the last 2 or 3 seasons, though. You know, we haven't had a closer. And we've been, shout out to Dusty, man, because as much as we was on Dusty, shout out to Dusty. His system worked at that time. Didn't work as great as we probably wanted to work or get the results that we were looking for on a day-to-day basis. But he was managing to get those wins for us, man. And he stuck to his gun, and it got us in the playoffs, and it got us in the ALDS championship series against the Rangers last year. But I think this is a different team, definitely, different manager. And we got to figure out, if we don't just come on out and get these guys off the muscle, I'm afraid turn the pitch over to our bullpen in the 8th-9th inning, man. I'm just afraid of it right now.
Yeah, I am too. As soon as Josh Hader came into the game today, I'm like, man, this dude going to give up a home run. As soon as he came into the game last night with the bases loaded, I'm like, man, this dude gave up a grand slam. So it's not a guy that you can trust when you have a one-run lead. So I don't know what they can do. The guy has a $95 million contract, so you can't really get rid of him. They just ate all the money that they did with Jose Abreu. They eaten another $35 million, I think, of his contract. So they made some bad decisions in the front office. So I don't know. I would switch it up, man. I would take Josh Hader out of that closer role for a moment. Maybe put Ryan Presley back in the closer role. Maybe he'll perform better back in the familiar spot. But I would make a change. I would not have Josh Hader as my designated closer 100% of the time.
I can't make the change now. I went too far in the race to change it up now. I can't change it. You have to ride it out. Again, and I know we getting ready to close it out. The key to any team, to success, to having longevity, is always being able to improve your team. And up until Abreu, and I'm not going to put Hader in that right now because it's just 60 games, 70 games, 80 games we done played, something like that. I can't put him in that now, but the Abreu, that's definitely, we can put that in. Is that we finally made a bad signing. When we was losing these players, we was able to plug them back in, man. We lost Corey, we was able to put Pena back in with Pena. And Pena had some great offensive moments, but he's really there to play defense. And if he can give us a hit here or there, it's fine. We was able to plug in. We lost that with Abreu. And it's not looking good for Hader right now, neither. It's not looking good for him. And that's kind of like where we are with this team right now, big bro, is that the guys that we lost and the guys that we brought in to fill those roles, because you know, you and I both want Yuri back at first, but we both wanted him back. We wanted him back, man. And they brought in a Brady last year, and I said, I don't think this. I think this is finally one that we struck out on. And he, as you can see, only lasted a season. And now we stuck with that 30 million. But for the most part, man, we've been able to plug in when we lose players. You know, you and I both, we didn't want to lose Springer, man. We didn't want to lose Springer, man. We didn't want to use Springer. But we lost him anyway. But we was able to fill it out, even in a platonic room, and a platonic role that they playing a rotating that center field position that they've been doing the last few years. We still been able to win and be successful. Let's just see just how this, how the second half of the season working, how we doing these one-run games, these close games, man. Because I'm afraid from a bullpen right now, baby. Afraid from a bullpen.
Yep, bullpen is gonna have to get it together the second half of the season. But all in all, shout out to the Astros for getting back in it. Seattle is doing their part. They're continuing to lose games. I mean, right now, this race could easily be tied up if we would have won these last couple of games that we had the opportunity to win, but we let them slip away. So we'll see how the Astros do going into the All-Star break. And, of course, we'll be following them throughout the second half of the season. Well, that is going to do it for tonight, guys. Again, first and foremost, everyone be safe tomorrow. If you do not have to go out, please stay at home. Please take care of yourselves and take care of your loved ones. And we hope that everyone makes it through this storm without any hurt, harm, or danger to your physical selves or to your physical properties.
Oh, yeah, man.
Brother, you be safe as well, my man.
Everybody, man, y'all just, bundle up, man. Let the good Lord do his thing, man. And try to stay safe, man. And if there's opportunity, we can come to y'all next week to just make sure that everybody's okay. We will do that. But that's all up to our host. Y'all.
All right, no problem, guys. All right, man. Well, y'all be safe tonight. Thank you guys for joining in. Go back and make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and share the show out. Until next week, for Floyd B., I am Ken Moore. We are out.